Wake up, goddammit. Welcome to MARKETcast with Unk and Market Monk. Morning, P. How's your week?
It's good. I mean, that X move on Monday, I probably could have just stopped there, honestly, because the week got a little tricky. I've been went bearish on some crypto stuff, and that really kind of put me over the top. Had some good trades on John Deere on Friday on that breakdown, but yeah, just a lot of weakness out there. It's been a little tough to see some follow through, but we found a few good ones.
Yeah, X was I don't know. I don't know exactly. It's almost like graduating a class or getting another certification, right? That's how I felt about
Yeah,
X um,
yeah,
last week for sure. Oh, hold on.
yeah. Groupon was the one too that just seemed to kind of ignore the whole market and do its thing. So
Yeah.
that was nice.
Oh, sorry. I thought I didn't start the video. Yeah. So like X was good because but I didn't have a lot of shares. I just had a few shares of X because I like to keep an eye on it. So
Yeah.
a couple $100 is not a lot. So I got the move. Um, I didn't really want to sell it because of the news is still out there, right? Like it's a merger deal is what's going
Uh,
on there. So
yeah, I think if they do sell, it's going to be
yeah,
$35.
that's what you're
So
getting,
it's one of
100%.
those. It's one of those where you kind of like the amount. I've been in a few like that. CLR was went private. Twitter, of course, did
Twitter, yeah.
too. And it's not. And this isn't going to have the regular issues that like an Activision deal had. So it's not like if they make it going to get canceled out in the courts. It's not to happen. So yeah, no, it's definitely still gonna stay active. Just kind of dunk on that guy on Twitter just because it's his comment about X, and it was funny too because no, I didn't know that there was going to be buyout rumors, but I knew we were buying X in a good spot, and I knew that it was probably going to move to 27, $28 over time. Um, Kind of got it all at once, but it's also not the first time X has made a big move like that. It's moved on earnings. It's moved on raising guidance. That's the whole point of those pivots. You start getting in around there, and the sector is pretty stable, and it's going to move up. So um, you just want to be in it already when you get these events like that, and so that worked out well.
Yeah, I'm trying to bring the day chart up, but levels are real. That
Yeah,
22 to 25 is kind of. I used to just trade this for 200-300 bucks. I mean, that's what I would do
yeah,
is
yeah.
just take that little move, and I was like, all right, I can mess around with this guy, and then I just would have some. I definitely didn't have enough where this was a decent trade, but $5 a share, is still $5 a share. I don't care. Still like $160, I think, something like that. Nothing crazy, but again, I was trying to talk myself into holding most of it, because yeah, it's somewhere between Twitter and this Kroger ACI thing going on. It'll land somewhere
Yeah.
in between there, right? Like never ending gonna happen. The chart just sits here, or it happens eventually, and you get your money in 35. 35. It could be more than 35 because you have competing deal right now with CLF, which is something I do want to talk
Yeah,
about going forward. Um,
definitely.
and then
And
Groupon.
and this was a good X too. Like it was a good lesson on utility. And the other thing that I talk about on Twitter that the gambling people have no clue what I'm saying or they think I'm clueless or whatever. But you want to move from a position of lower IV to higher IV. So when you got into options on X before this, and the IV was like 25%, jumps up to 60, to 80%. That alone, when you're in it out to January, is they're going to hold that value much more now, and so that's why like you don't you can trade like trading higher IV stuff isn't bad. It's bad IV drops, and so that's what you want to avoid. It's why earnings are so bad through. But that's a big thing that people don't understand. They think high IV is good because everybody wants this stuff, but they don't see how not only in the underlying price rug pull you, but that IV drop will just kill the value as well. And most people learn that the hard way, or really experience it and then doing it because they're not taking the time to learn it. But that's why I keep harping on that. And lastly, before we move on, this is where your response, right? Just buy some damn shares, and you don't have to worry about any of that crap. So I think having making shares kind of your central focus is something that would benefit most at the multi with options all the time.
Yeah. Shares is, it's the unlimited time, and I mean, you're never gonna buy enough. I think probably the same on the option side, but I mean, you're never gonna buy enough. You're always gonna want to buy more. But just
Yeah.
get in there so you're comfortable. Like I'm saying, I mean, I only had, I think it was like 15, somewhere in there, shares on this thing. I didn't have a lot, and normally I like to have the 100 share position here. Um, but you still get piece of the move, and through time you get better at that, right? You get better at, like, all right,
Well,
I got to play gas going into the summer, or I got to play
yeah.
the movie theaters after Christmas because of the Christmas movie seasons. Just you kind of get
And
the market swings.
and I don't have like a lot of Oxy at 28 anymore, but I have some of it. I When we kind of saw what was coming in January, there's about 30-35 stocks, a lot in tech. I bought shares. I bought some fractional shares of some of them, but they all went up a lot, and so it was, you just get your account moving in the right direction, and then you can just make some decisions about when to scale out or whatever, and it just goes. We've had for a couple weeks now, starting over every day, and being a pure options trader and just starting full cash every single day and having that pressure trying to make your $200 or $400 or whatever. That's a lot to take on, and it's a lot to take on for people with jobs and responsibilities and all that. So I think that you want to take some of that off your plate, and just some solid share positions does help do that a lot.
Yeah, I know. I think it was Strive we were talking to. I'm always horrible with names, but like, just asking for trades. I mean, usually the guys that are asking for trades, they're late. Like if someone's asking about a trade, they're usually going to be late because they're seeing something in retrospect and
Yeah.
now they have a question. Um, but you do, like you just said, you got to figure out your lifestyle, your account style, your account, and then your trading style, like your emotions, and that's what it's really your emotions when I say trading style. You have to figure those things out. I think before you should be looking what to enter,
Yeah.
or you enter small in something and then look at those things. Not, well, why did the chart not move? Instead of looking at candles, like, was I at work? Do I just not have? I can't trade at the right time during the day. Am I not doing the research? Is this like too much of my account? So I can't handle it. Like, you need to have that all under control before you get into day trading, in my opinion. If not, I've said it for the whole entire time y'all have known me. If not, just buy stuff you believe in, go back to work, treat it like a bill every month, and come back. And just come
Yeah.
back in like 3 or 4 years, and then take some of the winnings, because you're not going to be like as emotionally tied to that, and try the day trading thing, or try a different style of trading that works for you. But just like going in like, what do you got? I'm hitting buttons. I mean, that really ain't it. And I think that's kind of why we cover so much, is so we can offer everything to everybody, no matter
Yeah, and that's
your Pele or Goose, right? Like, you're there all day
right,
clicking
right.
buttons, or you're like literally can't get to your phone, so you just got to buy something every other day. Like,
And one thing I comes from teaching, for me, is that when you have a method that works, like in writing, research, whatever, it's just I keep finding new ways to present that material to people, because eventually some way that I do it is going to start to click. So
sure.
so one of the things I try to do as we get new people, as I think things, is rethink things, is how am I presenting my work? How am I presenting my notes? revamped the hot list a lot. That I think that's helped. And one thing about those morning notes I post, because those are the ones that people ask me about, and they're late on. The thing to understand there is what I'm seeing is it's a combination of the option positioning going into the day, anything that's happening pre-market, and it's really about where I think whales want to get out of something more than where I think they maybe want to get into something. So like that's why I think like sometimes it's like puts during the day or puts early, or it's gonna flush here and then we bounce, like, so playing off a level, all of that. And that whole setup is really about that first hour, and so you can't come back in the afternoon and say like, is this still good? I've moved on from that. And so yeah, the market's not really going to just move with your schedule. There isn't some set time you can buy something. There are setups we have where the entry is more stable, it's a more sustained kind of thing. But yeah, just popping in, what are we trading today? Got to get past that. I know that's how a lot of rooms operate, but that's not really our focus.
No, no, and I think like in that regard, like you kind of just said, your notes work in the morning and in the afternoon they need to be reevaluated or they're not the same. I mean, that fits your lifestyle. You're
Yeah.
able to trade in the morning. People need to understand that, like whoever you're following, whether it's us or some other guy or whatever. If you're Motley Fool or Zach Morris,
Yeah. Yeah.
everything in between. You gotta flip and understand their style. And I learned that when the momentum guys kicked in. Um, all of them, when
Yeah.
all the Discord and Twitter really started, like, what's this guy doing? Like, why is this guy up every single day on his flipping phone telling me to buy XYZ at 287 every day?
Right.
Why? I mean, there's a reason for it. He's got to be doing okay. And I would always try to figure that out, no matter who I was messing with or who I'm working with. Like, what's your trade style? What's working for you? Because that's going to help me understand the information you're giving me. Like we've run into it with the all-time high charts, right? Like I'm like, P,
Yeah.
this ain't. I know it works for you, but this ain't for me. and
Yeah. Yeah.
and it's just because of the styles. And I think a lot of people try to skip that step and go right to pressing buttons. Um, and it's very, very important. I mean, I said it last week, and I think I said it during the week in chat. It's like I don't spend 2 or 3 hours here on Sunday, and I don't think you do either, um, because it's not useful. It's very, very flipping useful for me, especially early week. Everything we do, I'm usually uber focused on a couple plays because of the work we put in. So if you're asking about voice chat on Wednesday, like you're probably a little late there. That probably needs to be revamped a little bit as well.
Yeah. Absolutely. And I've gotten some good questions from newer people about they see the collab thing, and their first thing is like, should I buy this right now? Like when I just list a contract in there, and then that's pump the brakes. No, not at all. Like it's not any kind of buy signal. It's something I see, and then I kind of know enough about TA to see like I'm like, this kind of could work, but I want to see what levels we're at, and it's all about trying to analyze what whales are thinking when they're buying something. So there's a lot of context that goes into it, and it's why so many people are bad at option flow, because they just see the buyer and they're like, coin 90C, let's go follow that. And then they'll, you got that initial move up, coin went up 5% pre-market or whatever, but that's all you were going to get. That's all the whales were after, but they stay in the position because they don't really actually know how to read, how to read option flow. So I think sitting back and just watching, studying, asking questions, entering a few positions light is better than coming in here all amped up, like you said, wanting to just press some buttons. I try to give people some trades like that, especially intraday. I've had ones where I'll like with solar or SMCI or whatever. I'm like, hey, take a look here, and then people have traded off that. So I do a little bit of that, but mainly for me, I know what I'm going to do before the market opens. I do it, usually do okay, and then I study, and that's my whole pattern. And and that's kind of what I like to do. I don't like to just trade charts all day. You just get diminishing returns on that. And I don't even really like Power Hour that much, to be honest. I think
No.
it's a little overblown for stuff I trade. But yeah, so for me, it's just about the work, and then the execution is decisive and quick, and then we kind of go from there. So so yeah, I mean, if you're new, just tell us about your. You don't have to trade like me. You don't have to trade like Unc. Let's figure out how you trade. Let's figure out how this is going to fit for you and how we build something, because that's what we're about. We're not an alert service.
Yeah, I don't. I know I'm not a freshman, so I see collab. I see collab a little different. I think it is tradable, but not maybe more from the share side than the option side. If I'm putting stuff in there, it's because I think it looks ready. I'm just or I'm trying to remind you of something we've already played that's coming back around again. I mean,
Um,
that's what I use it for. But the caveat is you should probably have seen the charts before. Like when you dropped
yeah, yeah,
IC back in the day, I didn't play IC.
hmm
I just watched IC because I didn't know the
yeah,
chart. And I'm not a freshman. I'm not a new guy. But if you drop
right.
like DraftKings or Roblox in there, it's tradable for me. If we drop NVAX in there, Pele's all over it. I mean that's just what it
Uh,
is. And
yeah, yeah.
there's you have to get again, you have to get to the level to where you understand what we're doing in collabs. Then it's very tradable. But there is also a lot of just information or what I call throwing jabs in collabs, especially from your side where you just see something abnormal and you want an opinion. So when you can start deciphering that and then using the information, I think it's tradable. But yeah, not like Coin 90C when you drop it in there with no context, and I come back saying we still have $4 down. I mean, what are you trading there?
Yeah, no, and that's really what I'm referring to. It's the because it's the options where you get in trouble. Like so I'll say like Redfin. I saw crazy leaps on Redfin, like 30C. I mentioned that contract. I'm not buying that because if I want it, there's just no reason to get that one. And so I think people see a strike, especially if it's out of the money, and you know they get kind of just amped up about the possibilities.
Yeah, yeah.
Call up the option profit calculator. Where's this going to go? But there are some like that and do pan out. And I said that about Roku all the way up to earnings. And it was October 105C. And Roku never got past 98. But that contract, I mean, the stock was under $70 when I mentioned that one. So yeah, it did very well. But yeah, I just mean that they're not buy signals, especially the options. You got to just watch the process play out, and you got to spend some time on charts yourself before you're ready to act on any of those.
Yeah, yeah, it's definitely not an alert service because I do think there's a lot in there that is just reminders or research. But
Yeah,
in between that, I mean that's where I think you can be the earliest. I just don't want to push people away from not I guess having notifications on for that page or like following along. I mean that's our chalkboard, right? Like I don't want you out in
yeah,
the
yeah.
hallway when I'm
Well,
writing on the
that's what
chalkboard.
that's what used to be DMs, right?
Yeah.
It was just you and me in the other room, just because it was so noisy in there. But to um, cut past all the Tesla load puts and calls thing to just talk about some setups, and then we're like, we should open this up for people, let them see this. So that's how that came about.
I don't want to scroll back, but I might. I can't remember the first stock now that you were like, I think we're onto something here, and I was like, yeah,
Yeah,
no
yeah.
shit. I think I've been talking to you for like a month and a half privately.
Right.
It was like an oil or energy stock though that like just lined up, and you were like, yeah, but it was good stuff. Let's yeah, let's go into that first. So let's talk a little bit about kind of I guess the news in the week. The Jackson Hole be at the end of the week, and then some pretty big ER names. Um, I don't want to spend too much time on it, but I think we should definitely talk about those two things.
So yeah, I think Jackson Hole was a big downside catalyst last time. I think that the market really dropped on the comments there, and I'm sort of wondering if some of the downside we've seen is just kind of like anticipation or dread about that, and if the event itself might not have the same kind of impact. That's really hard to tell. So and especially for something like SPY. So for me, it kind of comes down to, is anything I'm looking at, has it fallen down to a decent level of support? And I think a few have. So I would just be mindful of sticking your neck out of the money in either direction. I just really would avoid that because it's just a little bit unpredictable. If we were entering it in overbought territory, I think it'd be a little easier to play the downside. But I think you've missed a decent chunk down, and you being a late short, in my experience, is kind of the worst thing to be in any kind of trading.
Yeah, for me, Jackson Hole is I mean, it should be a positive event. It hasn't been since COVID, but I think when we get back to them pushing like invest with us, because it's world leaders in the financial industry, right? Like when they
Yeah,
get back to like invest with us or more positive outlook, almost in competition with each other. I think that's when it will be positive for the market. But the overall narrative usually is what pushes it. Um, and if they're still critical of anything, I just kind of think it's another one of those catalysts that kind of we wash through, good and bad. Like
yeah,
the very not as dramatic. I hate even using this because those were super dramatic. Not as dramatic as the first rate hikes where you'd get
hmm
slams up and down, but I think you get kind of overly active days. Totally with you on though the downside you done missed. Man,
yeah.
we had some good short targets. Tesla 280,
Yeah.
coin over 100. I mean,
MSTR is down 100 points since I
uh,
said it was looking a little weak.
end
Yeah,
phase was
and yep.
there. I mean, so like you were pretty good on all the short targets. I don't think you short news events. I think that's playing with fire, right? Because you're looking for a dramatic move, but that could go against you. You might as well play something in your favor with a better risk reward ratio. Um, but
Yeah, and
we're
it's
where
the
we
it's the
are.
the secondary move overreaction. Like that's so much safer
Sure,
either direction. You
sure.
know that when the I mean, and I'm not like a pure RSI trader, but I mean, you literally see it like a 3 minute RSI pops up to 80. That's going to come back down. It can rip right back up on you. But the point is, if you're just looking for a quick hitter, that's what you want. Or the other side of it, when it dips under 30, you get a little bit of a bounce back recovery, and then sometimes it'll just take off, can make your whole week. So as an options trader, go really small. I don't like zero DTE, but add 1 day to it, and you can try that. But yeah, I mean, holding full, any kind of thing like that. You hear people talk like that. That's just nonsense. You want to avoid that.
Yeah, I mean, we're definitely to the overextended side. Or, I mean, a lot of people again. I've pound the table on this one. If I told you at the beginning of the year we'd get to 440, a lot of people would have betted against it, and we've already touched it. We went past it. We're
Yeah.
hanging out. We're hanging out around there. Let me put SPY up here. So for me, like we're not we're kind of overextended. I'll say it because the market's telling us because it's confused. If you look at ER reports right now, or pretty much the whole month, there's been every kind of reaction to every kind of report. There's been bad reports with the chart mooning. There's been good reports with the chart going down. There's been simple staff changes with the chart going down. But the majority of those moves are more down than up, and that's just where we are.
Yeah.
So that's just kind of the market telling you we're overextended. That's just where we
Well, right. I
are.
mean, John Deere's a good example. I played the downside on that to 350 in June, took it the other way. And I was mostly out by like 4:20. I was like, geez, I was done.
Mm-hmm.
Went up to 4:50, and then it enters earnings at like 4:30 or so, and then people are surprised. Oh, they had a good report. Why is this tanking? I'm like, well, it was $350, a couple months ago. So it's the report was good, but it can't, it's not going to stay up here. Path of least resistance is down, so it's gonna pull that right back under my line at 402, and we'll see where we go from here. Not again one of those. I don't think you want to be a late short there. It could very well rip back here, but you're going to see a lot of charts like that. The other big story for me is a kind of divergence within sectors, and we see this with SaaS, the software as a service, where the kind of the automation AI names that were really hot. Those charts are struggling. There's no MDBs into its earnings gap, which is not a good spot for it. Could fall a lot more. But some of the pure cybersecurity names have shown a lot more strength. PanW, just took off on Friday afternoon. Even Net and Crowd have shown a little more strength than the other ones. So you just got to be mindful of that. You got to be careful talking about tech as a singular thing. More so than ever. That's not the case. And again, speaks to what you said about the market confusion, and that's why the work that we do with individual names, I think, is so useful and important, because we can find those spots, those stocks that are going to have some strength regardless of what's going on, that aren't directly just tied to SPY QQQ and kind of do their own thing.
Yeah, the sector thing is really important. I believe, because that's kind of secondary research for me. Like, tech's a good example, but I'll just use crowns. If the world just all of a sudden drops news that, hey, we need purple crowns, everybody that produces purple crowns are going to go up. Like, that's going to be it. You're going to get a cycle where they all go up, but then through time, the ones that are producing the better purple crowns and the ones that are actually selling them and making a profit on them, those are the ones that are going to hold their gains and continue on. The rest of them are just going to fade away off that original news. And you're seeing that now with, like you said, software as a service and cybersecurity, cloud. Communications too has been big lately. I've noticed that.
Yeah.
But you kind of get that, especially when you get emerging industries or ideas and technologies, when you're getting the groundbreaking stuff. That's just kind of how it works. I came up in the EV era, so that's why I make the Solo joke, because I remember when that was pumped to be a decent car, right? But it just didn't matter at the time. Everybody that had anything to do with EV, you got a bump. You just did. No one looked into your company. Yep. And then, 5, 6, 7 years down the road, or sometimes 3 months down the road, they start figuring out, oh, wait, you just have EV in your name, or you just have AI in your name. You're really an XYZ company. And,
right.
and you really got to understand that and know what you're trading, because when the first cycle hits, like AI hit, and if you miss that, that's what you should be doing now, is like, who's really going to benefit from that stuff? Who's really going to use it? I went right to LiDAR, because I don't think you can have like AI without LiDAR. But that's that's a different topic. But I mean, that's kind of what you got to do and understand the market. Not, again, I guess how you said it earlier, just wake up with your full account. What do I click today? Be a little more savvy in that regard. Because this market's showing you, like, you can make a lot of money in this market this year, right? Ton of it. But you have to have your timing right. And that's why I focus so much on that. I said it August, April last year, and I kind of said, watch out for the summer market here about 3 weeks ago too. But it's just always having an idea about market conditions, I think is more important than knowing anything else. I mean, like, I didn't pay attention to sectors before you. I do now, but market conditions kind of always took a priority over it.
Yeah, and something too, the buy the dip mentality.
Jesus fucking Christ.
It's like, what, kind of what dip and why. And I did a few examples on Twitter. I mean, I'm I wasn't trying to. Well, I was trying. Yeah, I was trying to pick on him. Never mind. So he's a big boy. He's got a big Substack and like subscribers and all that. But like you look at this guy and he was talking about Trade Desk, I think. And I just looked up his name and I looked up Trade Desk and I called up the weekly chart and he literally, both the times that he said like, he loved it, buy the dip, all this stuff, was right at the top. It was the top um, in 2021, like January or December 2021, it was like $110. He was saying how much he loved it, and then he did the same thing at 90, and now it's 72. And he was saying he loved Twillo at 300 something dollars, and it's still like it's just it's like Mad Libs. They say the same sentences, buy the dip, buy the effing dip, whatever, because they think that these stocks are just gonna recover and go up, and they only know one way to trade, which is a euphoric rally up where the dip happens and then it rips right past it, and but that's just not the world that we're in, anymore. And I think you want to see the signs of that. And I'm not a perma bear or anything like that. And I caught plenty of moves to the upside on a lot of the stuff that they're talking about. But when you just go into it, you got one play in your playbook, and it's buy the dip. Which dip, when, and why is kind of where I would always push that. And they don't have a good answer for that. And I think we do. And it's not even a phrase I use, but to me, it's buy a pivot. Like that's more like what we're doing. And if your level and my level matches up, those are the best ones to focus on. So, lucky for us on this pullback, we're right back there, where we can make some decisions on some of these familiar names.
Yeah, buy the dip will work if you're Buffett. And you got like 4 or 5 years, you can keep buying, and it will pan out for you. But you gotta have the account to continuously go into the position and it not affect your overall mentality or way of life. Look at Buffett and Oxy right now. That's a long-term play for that guy. Like, he's gonna win. He's not killing it, but he's gonna win. I got a question before we get out of here for you. Why is it you only argue with fucking highly educated Ivy League millionaire traders? Why? Why? Like, why is it every time like they're millionaires and they're arguing? Like, how do you do it?
I don't know. Yeah, it's just luck of the draw, I guess. I don't know. And then they're always in the names are such a dead giveaway for millionaires when it's Blaze Trades or 42069 YOLO at Twitter. Like, those are all classic millionaire lawyer names that they'd have. So
I might be worth it, but you've got to spell better than me if I'm going to believe you.
Yeah. Yeah, that whole convo too, like it never actually was acknowledged, like this stock does have range. I was wrong. It has X has range. Like that could have been it, but
yeah,
kept doubling down and
he got me going when he's like, how long will you wait to make that comment? I was like, over the weekend. What? It was like 4 days. Right. What do you mean how long? It was like
well, and my point to him too, like I was right before X moved like that.
Yes,
I was still right.
Yes,
because the trade had already worked.
Yes,
like all the options were already up like 30%.
Yes,
even just based on the normal chart relief. So
more than once this year.
Yeah, right.
We better pick spot and get the hell out of here. We haven't done that.
Yep.
I think I had one. You had one last week. We got 448, which was your high side. You had it, and then 433. I was just lower than you, but it went lower than we thought. Friday got me, or I probably would have nailed the bottom. That was my thing. But we came back to that 436, 437 area. Little scary there on Friday. Again.
Yeah. Friday could have just gone the full, trend day down. Probably helped that it was the MOPEX day and all those options were expiring. So, could have saved it a little bit there. But all right, so what I'm looking at here. Um, I mean, one thing, the 420 area. Not that we're going to get to it this week, but it's like it's a strike I look at, kind of weeks from now, and that's still pretty much bid side. So mostly sold there. So you kind of look where are we likely to see some strength here. So I'm going to say downside 430. I think that's going to hold, and then upside for me, I'm going to say 441.
141. What's this candle right here? I'm just gonna steal this candle. This is how lazy I'm gonna be today, people. 444.
Yeah.
I'm just stealing this candle. It's the before we got off 430 candle, and then so 444, 431. Real close
Nice.
to you. A couple
Yeah.
bucks more on the top side. I don't really trust. I kind of wanted to talk about it Friday, but I didn't want to type something about that spelling thing. But I don't right now. Don't trust like Fridays. Like try to keep them out of your mind. Like
Yeah.
they've been really weird lately, and they haven't really. I don't know how to say it. They're not really the true effects of the market. And for me, like there's some fuckery going on here. There has to be. There's money involved.
Yeah.
And they just want you to think the market is shitty going into the weekend. So for 3 days, you
Yep.
think we're in a horrible market, and that's just what I think about Fridays right now. So just don't really put a lot of like of your outlook into Friday. Like look at the weekly candle. And last week was real bad. Don't get me wrong. So you should have that right here, but just don't be buying into Fridays right now. That's more for you than everybody else, but because I know you do a lot of homework on Fridays, and I don't want you to get one sided on me.
Yeah. No, I'm there, and I think that, I mean, especially like you said, I've nailed the downside on a number of these bigger names that we trade, and um, the more it goes down, the less I feel like shorting it again. I just think it's your risk keeps going up. The more it goes down. So yeah, I'm very mindful of those kind of narratives. I think the flow too can be misleading. A lot of people fall victim to that. So yeah, I'm with you. I'm kind of, with the weekend homework, I'm more looking at. I mentioned this to Value the other day. Anything September to November, I think is where you can see something. And some of my comments to you that we'll go over in the next session, I talk about how the near term is kind of mixed, but further out you can kind of see things. So if you're looking to trade something that might not move until October, November, that's got to change how you approach your plans on it. It's probably not a day trade for you this week, but you might get started on it this week.
Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah, everywhere right now is a lot of negative opinions and outlooks. Like if you watch the news or anything, COVID's coming back. We're going to World War III. So I mean, this is a lot of negative catalysts.
Yep.
There's
Bitcoin to zero.
Bitcoin to zero. The Dogecoin dog died. Hillary's
Yeah.
gonna destroy the West Coast. Listeria's back. Stuff like
Yeah.
that. I mean, yeah. So I mean, there's a lot of that going on, and don't let that get too much in your head, but just kind of be mindful of it.
Yeah. You even see COVID stuff coming back.
Yeah. Yeah.
The,
It's gonna be. Who was it? Alex Jones said they're bringing back the. I hate that guy, but that they're bringing back the lockdowns
yeah.
for Christmas or something.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Merry Christmas. All right, you ready to get to work, Pete?
Yeah. Let's do it.